Here's a story you might not hear much about, but it says a lot about the state of the WNBA and the dynamics within its teams. Just recently, Temi Fagbenle, a talented forward and seasoned international player, was released by the Indiana Fever. On paper, it might look like just another roster change, but the reasons behind her departure and the treatment she endured paint a much more complicated picture. Temi always had a strong bond with Caitlin Clark during her time with the team, but rumors have long swirled about NaLyssa Smith's alleged mistreatment of both players. Could this be the real reason behind Temi's departure? To understand the full story, we need to dig deeper into how it all unfolded. Let's start with her history. Temi Fagbenle isn't just any player. Born in Baltimore, raised in the UK, and a Harvard graduate, she's had a storied career both on and off the court. Internationally, she's represented Great Britain with distinction, even leading her national team to historic finishes in European competition. In the WNBA, she's been a reliable presence, known for her versatility, defense, and ability to contribute in key moments. She's played for the Minnesota Lynx in the past, where she won a championship in 2017 and brought that same winning mentality to the Fever. So why was she released? Officially, the team cited roster constraints and the need to focus on rebuilding around younger talent. The Fever have been in a long, frustrating rebuild phase, and Fagbenle's veteran status likely made her a target. But there's more to it. According to reports, her relationship with the team had been strained for months, partly because of tensions with younger star NaLyssa Smith. Now, NaLyssa Smith is one of the Fever's rising stars. Drafted second overall in 2022, she has quickly become a key player for the franchise. But according to insiders, Smith didn't exactly make Fagbenle's time on the team easy. Sources close to the team have alleged instances where Smith undermined Fagbenle during practices, criticized her play openly, and even made dismissive comments about her veteran leadership. While Smith's star power has certainly helped the Fever on the court, it's clear her influence off the court may have contributed to Fagbenle's release. Fagbenle, for her part, has remained professional throughout the situation. In her limited statements, she's expressed gratitude for her time with the Fever and her teammates, but those who followed her career know that she's never been one to cause drama or create division. The fact that she found herself pushed out of the team says more about the Fever's internal dynamics than it does about her abilities or attitude. The bigger question here is whether the Fever made the right call. By letting go of a veteran like Fagbenle, they're doubling down on their youth movement. But at what cost? Veteran players like her bring leadership, stability, and experience, qualities that are often undervalued in a league like the WNBA, which already struggles with retaining its stars and fostering strong team cultures. As for Fagbenle's future, it's uncertain. She has plenty of options overseas, where she's already proven herself as a top player in Europe, and there's no doubt she'll continue to thrive. But her exit from the Fever is a stark reminder of the challenges faced by veteran players in the WNBA, especially when team dynamics and internal politics come into play. In the end, the release of Temi Fagbenle isn't just about roster changes. It's a story about a league still figuring out how to balance youth and experience, talent and leadership. And for Fagbenle, it's a chapter that closes with more questions than answers. Caitlin Clark recently shared some footage of her training in Europe, and it's everything we've been looking for. This serves as the ultimate evidence of how a truly respectable league treats its star players.
No matter how the cachet of the WNBA elevates, remember, it could have been even better. You messed it up. You messed it up.
You can truly see the joy on Clark's face. She looks free, incredibly happy, and completely unbothered. Those days of putting up with cheap shots, dirty hits, and all that nonsense are behind her. There's no one poking her in the eye or hip-checking her into the stands.
So now give me the reasons why. She's gone.
And here's the best part. There's no racial tension or scheming against the league's top talent in Europe. The players focus on their game, and Clark can finally concentrate on what she does best, dominating on the court. The contrast is clear, and it's no surprise she's thriving in a league that truly knows how to honor greatness.
I have honestly never seen a company fumble the bag so hard like the WNBA fumbled Caitlin Clark.
She's playing as if she's finally free from all the nonsense, free from cheap shots, and definitely free from the relentless negativity she faced in the WNBA. It feels like a completely new Caitlin Clark, and she's clearly enjoying every moment. She's smiling, sinking threes like they're layups, and making no-look passes as if it's just another day in the park.
I think it's a good number. Threes were a little bit, I wouldn't say lower. I'll still take 63, but I want to be more so around 70 if I can. Yeah. 81 mid-range is really, really good.
There's no fear, no hesitation, and no worrying about getting smacked in the face or having someone try to take her out. In Europe, they truly appreciate talent. They love and celebrate her. She's not dodging elbows or dealing with dirty looks anymore. Finally, she's being treated like the superstar she is. It's as if she's escaped a nightmare and landed in a place where basketball is celebrated.
And it sucks that so much of it was riddled with so much drama and so much negativity and so many mishaps.
You know who's really losing it? The WNBA. That's right. The league that thought they could just sit back and let Caitlin Clark get poked in the eye, body checked and disrespected day after day. Now they're complaining about losing their star, but let's be honest, it's their own fault. They made it unbearable for her. How many times did we watch Clark take a cheap shot while the referees stood by without taking action? And what did the WNBA do about it? Nothing. They allowed it to happen repeatedly.
Like we talked about in our locker room after the game ended, where obviously people were pretty disappointed in the outcome.
Here's the thing. In Europe, they don't have that kind of drama. No Chennedy Carter blindsiding her, no Dejonai Carrington going for her eye. No one is trying to take her down just because she's different. She's not facing players who resent her simply because she's a straight white girl excelling in their league. Over there, it's all about basketball. It's pure, it's clean, and it's a genuine league that respects the game, honors talent, and of course, treats Clark like the superstar she is. Is the WNBA racist? Some would say so, but let's discuss some facts and numbers first. By all means, this was the best year the WNBA has ever had. They set an all-time record for total television viewers, reaching 54 million people. They also set an all-time record for the number of broadcasts that hit at least 1 million viewers. The league saw its highest total attendance in more than 2 decades, with a massive 50% increase compared to last year. The All-Star Game broke new ground with a staggering 10 million fan votes, a more than 500% increase from the previous year. The Indiana Fever, the team Caitlin Clark plays for, managed to set an all-time single-season attendance record for a WNBA team. Beyond that, the league saw a 350% year-over-year growth in subscriptions to their paid streaming service. Add to that more social media engagement, more sellout crowds, more news coverage, and more merchandise sales than ever before. It's the kind of season that WNBA executives likely never imagined was possible. Now, given all these remarkable achievements, how much money do you think the WNBA made this year? How much revenue could such a groundbreaking season bring in? What kind of profit do you think they were able to achieve? Earlier in the year, there were reports suggesting that the WNBA's finances weren't looking great, and now that the final numbers are in, those estimates have proven to be pretty accurate. According to the New York Post, the WNBA lost $40 million this year. Yes, during its best season ever, the league still managed to operate at a loss of $40 million. They exceeded nearly every metric for growth and engagement, and yet failed to turn a profit. This isn't just a bad year financially, it's a pattern. The WNBA has never been profitable in its entire history, and at this point, it's difficult to see how that could ever change. It's a concept fundamentally at odds with reality, because the majority of Americans simply aren't interested in watching women's basketball. Even during a record-breaking year like this one, the numbers show that interest still isn't enough to sustain the league financially. This backdrop makes Caitlin Clark's recent interview with Time magazine particularly interesting. Time, which still exists, recently named Clark their Athlete of the Year and featured her on the cover. In the article, Clark made a statement that's simultaneously revealing and controversial. Here's the part that stands out, directly from Time magazine. "I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege," says Clark. A lot of those players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league has kind of been built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think it's very important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be a beautiful thing. There are two things happening here. First, Clark is crediting black women with building the WNBA. Without them, she argues, the league wouldn't exist. While this might be intended as a compliment, it's a bit like praising someone for founding a business that consistently loses millions of dollars. However, even this claim isn't entirely accurate. The WNBA was built and is still financially sustained by the NBA. Without the NBA's funding and support, the WNBA wouldn't exist at all. She goes further to say that black women deserve to be elevated and celebrated, which makes it clear why she's saying this. She's protecting her endorsements and her status in the WNBA by endorsing a narrative that aligns with modern progressive ideals. What's interesting is that Clark's words come after enduring a season in which she faced relentless abuse on the court. Whether it was being knocked over, poked in the eye, or shoulder-checked, Clark was repeatedly targeted, and in some cases even taunted afterward. Yet, despite this treatment, she's out here claiming that she has privilege. As a white woman in the WNBA, her experience suggests anything but privilege. What she does have is undeniable talent. Clark set records as a rookie, including the most points, the most assists, and becoming the fastest player to reach 300 points. Her performance is the reason she's a standout, not her race. However, her willingness to embrace the narrative of privilege, even after the way she was treated on the court, raises questions about whether she's doing so out of conviction or necessity. The WNBA, for all its growth and engagement, remains a business with fundamental issues. Even in its best year, it couldn't come close to profitability. Clark's commentary highlights the league's reliance on all players, but doesn't address the underlying problem. The WNBA is asking for an audience that largely doesn't exist. The record-breaking engagement figures show progress, but they also show limits. A majority of Americans still aren't tuning in, even when the league reaches its peak. In the end, the WNBA's challenges go far beyond racial dynamics or privilege. The league's financial woes point to a deeper issue: its inability to convert interest into sustainable revenue. Caitlin Clark's remarks may spark conversations, but they don't change the reality that the WNBA is, at its core, a business struggling to justify its existence in the sports market.
First person I can honestly say that looks like Steph Curry. Like, she's not guardable right now, and she can hit almost any shot from the outside.
Almost any.
So,
much of a power she is out there on the court. The cool part is the way that she plays and her range and the level of difficulty on her shots is obviously a very close comparison.
From long-range shots to lasting influence, Caitlin Clark isn't just setting records, she's shattering them. Surpassing even Steph Curry's iconic three-point average, she's reshaping the future of basketball. But what happens when Caitlin Clark crosses paths with Steph Curry's legacy?
Do you think Caitlin Clark could beat Steph Curry in a three-point contest?
That's tough. Shooters can have an off night. You just never know. Caitlin has no conscience where she pulls from.
Steph has no conscience where he pulls from.
Been doing it for a long time, so can never go against Steph. Steph has been doing it for a long time.
Recently, Caitlin Clark has solidified her place in basketball history, and it's not just because of her scoring ability, it's where she scores from. New stats show that Caitlin Clark now holds the record for the longest average three-point range, an incredible 28 feet.
I think the WNBA narrative right now is Caitlin Clark, and I think that's a good narrative, but it's also not the only narrative. Caitlin is an amazing generational talent, and she's going to do amazing things. You're the #1 pick. People are going to go after.
This remarkable accomplishment not only surpasses the previous record held by NBA legend Steph Curry, but it also sets a new, higher standard for shooting excellence in basketball. By pushing the boundaries of what was once thought possible, Caitlin Clark has redefined the range at which players can score, inspiring future generations to aim even further.
Do I need to call you the female version of Steph Curry, or do I need to call Steph Curry the male version of Caitlin Clark?
I think I'll just be the female version of Steph.
At just 22 years old, Clark's achievement is far more than a statistical outlier. It's a reflection of her unmatched skill, court awareness, and unshakable confidence. As the all-time leading scorer in college basketball, regardless of gender, she has already left an indelible mark on the game. With her new record-breaking 28-foot average, Caitlin Clark has not just added a new statistic to her resume, she's fundamentally redefined what it means to be a sharpshooter in the modern era. To put her accomplishment into perspective, Steph Curry, widely considered the greatest shooter in basketball history, boasts a three-point range averaging around 27 feet. At the time, that seemed untouchable. Curry's range revolutionized the game, sparking an era of deep shooting and permanently changing the way basketball is played. But now, Caitlin Clark has pushed that boundary even further, raising the bar to new heights.
I love me some Steph Curry. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter in the history of basketball.
However, Clark has taken that revolution even further, stretching the boundaries of possibility with an additional foot of range that makes her a constant threat the moment she crosses half court. This is no accident. Clark's shooting range is the result of years of dedicated training, an innate basketball IQ, and an unwavering competitive spirit. Her shooting form is a perfect balance of precision and power, enabling her to effortlessly launch shots from well beyond the arc. But what truly sets her apart is her fearlessness. Clark isn't afraid to take shots from distances most players wouldn't even think about. Whether it's a contested three in the final seconds of a game or a casual pull-up from 30 feet on the fast break, she makes what seems impossible look completely effortless.
Shout out to Caitlin Clark. She's a certified bucket. To quote Shaq, I was not familiar with her game. I respect her game. She's a fucking baller. She was pulling up like Steph Curry from deep. But I just got one question. Matt, do you think you can beat Caitlin Clark in one-on-one?
Absolutely not. Nobody here can.
I'm busting her ass. You wild. Shit. You wild, bro.
This record also speaks volumes about the evolution of women's basketball. Clark's success stands as a powerful testament to how the game has progressed, with athletes consistently pushing the limits of what's possible on the court. Her remarkable shooting range has drawn comparisons to Curry, but it has also established her as a trailblazer in her own right, showing that women's basketball is just as dynamic, innovative, and game-changing as the men's game.
I think Steph Curry made the WNBA watchable.
Caitlin Clark, baby.
The way that Caitlin Clark was playing was a very digestible form of basketball. But now this girl out of nowhere is playing like Steph, and it was still digestible.
Meanwhile, Clark has reached this milestone in an era where defenders are more focused than ever on limiting long-range threats. Opponents specifically game plan to neutralize her, yet she continues to excel, constantly finding ways to create space and sink one clutch shot after another from deep. Her 28-foot average isn't just a number, it's a declaration of dominance. As Caitlin Clark keeps breaking records and exceeding expectations, the basketball world is left to wonder just how much further she can push the boundaries of shooting.
Is there anybody in the NBA under the age of 30 that's a bigger name, bigger jaw, bigger star than Caitlin Clark?
For now, one thing is clear. Clark has not only surpassed Steph Curry's legendary mark, but has firmly established herself as one of the most transformative figures in basketball. Her 28-foot average three-point range is more than just a record, it's the foundation of a legacy in the making. Caitlin Clark isn't just redefining the game of basketball, she's reshaping its entire business model. The sharpshooting sensation, already celebrated for her historic three-point average that outpaces even Curry, is demonstrating that her influence extends far beyond the court.
I mean, honestly, $1,000 for a family of four to go to a WNBA game. That seems wild. It really does. The Clark effect.
Clark now represents an incredible 1/4 of all WNBA merchandise and ticket sales. This remarkable achievement highlights her power to attract fans, drive revenue, and become a true game changer for women's sports. Moreover, in a league that has long battled for visibility and equality, Clark has sparked an unprecedented wave of fan engagement. From jerseys bearing her name to arenas packed with fans chanting in her honor, Clark is more than just a player, she's become a movement.
Caitlin Clark, her style of play it's not just her individually as a person or what skin color she is. I think it's, more so about her style of play, her playing.
According to reports, her merchandise sales alone make up nearly 25% of the WNBA's total revenue in this category, an extraordinary figure that speaks to her unmatched popularity. Whether it's fans buying her iconic number 22 jersey or scooping up exclusive Caitlin Clark-themed collectibles, her appeal is undeniable. The same goes for ticket sales. Clark's games are an event, consistently attracting record-breaking crowds. Caitlin Clark is changing the game, literally. Her ability to drain deep three-pointers, the kind you usually associate with Steph Curry, has redefined the expectations for women's basketball. It's not just about the range, it's her confidence, flair, and ability to consistently perform at a level we've rarely, if ever, seen before. NBA legends and basketball greats are taking notice, and their reactions are a testament to her talent and impact. Michael Jordan, the greatest of all time, didn't hold back in his praise. He highlighted how much Caitlin has done for the WNBA and called for better officiating to protect her from unnecessary fouls and hostility. MJ's message was clear: Caitlin is invaluable to the game, and it's time the league treated her accordingly. Steph Curry, often seen as her male counterpart, has been equally impressed. He's pointed out the similarities in their games, not just the lightning-fast release and jaw-dropping range, but also their ability to elevate teammates and put on a show for fans. As Steph said, she's the total package. But Caitlin's rise hasn't come without challenges. From the start, she's faced criticism and even hostility from some WNBA players. NBA legends like Rick Barry and George Gervin have defended her, calling out the jealousy and disrespect. Barry was blunt, saying the hate comes from fear of her undeniable talent. Gervin added that Caitlin's impact goes beyond the court. She's brought private charters, bigger sponsorships, and unprecedented attention to the WNBA. As Barkley put it, you should be thanking that girl. Yet, not everyone is on board. Reggie Miller sees the adversity as part of Caitlin's journey, arguing that every rookie must prove themselves. Kevin Garnett echoed that sentiment, framing the extra defensive attention and hard fouls as a sign of respect. They both believe these challenges will only make her stronger. The controversy around Caitlin reached a new level when she was left off the U.S. Olympic roster. Critics like Paul Pierce argued it was a missed opportunity for the sport, while others, like Dwight Howard, saw it differently. Howard suggested the break might have been a blessing in disguise, giving Caitlin time to recharge and dominate in the second half of the season. Through it all, Caitlin has stayed focused. Her game has grown faster, sharper, and even more electrifying. Legends like Shaquille O'Neal have praised her ability to silence critics with her play. Shaq, in his signature style, summed it up perfectly. "If I say you're not gonna hit that shot, and you hit it anyway, you're the truth." What's remarkable is how much Caitlin has already done for women's basketball. Magic Johnson, who has an ownership stake in the WNBA, compared her to young stars like Angel Reese, saying players like Caitlin are shaping the league's future. Magic also pointed out that it's not just about Caitlin being the most popular player. It's about her potential to reach the very top, just like he and Larry Bird once did. Even with all the challenges and noise, Caitlin's journey has been nothing short of transformative. She's bringing in fans, raising the league's profile, and proving that women's basketball is a force to be reckoned with. As Charles Barkley said, the WNBA owes her a lot for what she's done for the game. Caitlin Clark is not just a rising star, she's a trailblazer. Her ability to thrive under pressure, elevate the sport, and handle adversity with grace is why basketball legends, fans, and critics alike are rooting for her. Whether it's breaking records or changing perceptions, Caitlin is building a legacy that will be talked about for years to come.
You come in as a rookie and like you said, like you're trying to figure out a new environment, new teammates. Like you don't want to say too much. You don't want to say too little. And it's just so hard.
What if I told you that Caitlin Clark's greatest challenge wasn't on the court, but within the locker room? That her most significant achievement wasn't smashing records, but building connections? How do you excel without outshining your teammates? How do you blend in while still standing out?
It's crazy, like looking back at a year ago today or around this time, like I was just beginning my senior year of college. And obviously, you know, people knew who we were and people attended our games, but it's obviously not on the magnitude that it is now.
Yeah.
So like life just changes fast, but that's what makes it fun and cool. And, you know, quickly started a new chapter of my life too, like moving here to Indianapolis. And
in an insightful podcast interview, Clark opened up about her rookie year and how she navigated those challenges. Her comments about her teammates will make you reconsider everything you thought you knew about the Indiana Fever. What are her true feelings toward the team around her? From sophomore Aaliyah Boston to Fever's close friend Lexi Hull and others such as Kelsey Mitchell and NaLyssa Smith, we uncover Caitlin's unfiltered thoughts about them. Ready for the inside scoop? Let's dive in.
I mean, it was just a crazy year because you go all the way up to the national championship game and then you're playing right away.
Yeah.
You know, one of my coaches early on in my career said, you know, your rookie year is always so hard because you're in a new city, you're in a new place, you're with a new team, new coaches. There's so much that's not part of the routine that you're so used to. And you had that as like magnified.
Imagine this. Caitlin Clark, the collegiate phenom, steps onto the WNBA court for the very first time. All eyes are fixed on her, with expectations soaring high. However, Clark's greatest obstacle isn't her performance on the court, it's finding her place within the team. During an eye-opening episode of the New Heights podcast, Clark delved into her rookie anxieties. She shared,
but like in my scenario, and obviously you guys too, like you're already highly thought of. Like people are turning to you to like be something or be someone. So it's hard. Like you're trying to get your feet wet, but also not do too much. And I think that's kind of what I struggled in early on is like, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how they're going to react.
Pressure was overwhelming, and Clark felt torn between two worlds. She spoke about feeling adrift in the locker room. Should she take the lead or go along with the group? It was a mental battle intensified by her fame. Yet, amidst the turmoil, Clark discovered a positive side. The fast-paced WNBA environment kept her concentrated.
But I think it was good a little bit too. Like, you don't have time to overthink things. Like, it's just like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah,
like, you're just on to the next. But at the same time, like, you don't, like, I feel like I never really ended the chapter of college. Like, it was just like, you up and left. But maybe that's good. You don't have a lot of time to think about it. So I think that's definitely the weirdest part of, you know, women's professional basketball, and obviously college basketball too. It's just that change. But that's kind of how it has to be too. So it's just different.
Her teammates became her rock during this wild transition. While some teammates caused problems in the beginning, eventually everyone came together to thrive in the WNBA.
For not knowing, you nailed it. Well.
But also, like, I had a lot of really good vets around me too, so I feel very grateful for that. And we had a fairly young team too, so like people had been through it fairly recently, so they knew how I felt. But like, I feel like that definitely is a huge challenge, and that goes for whatever professional sport. Like, you're trying to learn, but also people are looking at you like, you got to perform and like be what they drafted you to be, and that can be tough.
In a heartfelt moment, Clark confessed, "I feel like I never truly closed the chapter of college. It was just like you left. But maybe that's for the best. There isn't much time to dwell on it." This highlighted just how abrupt and challenging the transition to the pros can be, even for a star like Clark.
You mentioned the vets, and I think, you know, for me at least, there was a lot. Some vets were incredible. Some of the vets, obviously, you're competing for jobs, so there's a little bit there, but you lean so much as a young player on your vets, and you lean so much from, like, even just like in Philly, there's so many great players that played for the Eagles that, like Harold Carmichael, who was a legendary Philadelphia Eagle, was like always around and willing to lend advice or anything. Did you have many former players or current players like reach out to you that really helped you in transitioning into the WNBA?
As Caitlin Clark continues to navigate the high-pressure world of the WNBA, her journey stands as a powerful example of resilience and growth. From overcoming locker room challenges to embracing the fast-paced professional lifestyle, Clark is not only proving her prowess on the court, but also her ability to build meaningful connections with her teammates. Her honest reflections highlight the complexities of transitioning from college stardom to the pros, reminding us that even the brightest stars face their own set of challenges. What do you think the future holds for Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever?
Or as alive, but there has been a confirmation. There has been, well, as good as a confirmation from the draft. And it's unfortunate they leaked the expansion draft, or at least leaked part of the expansion draft.
As the new franchise made its much-anticipated entrance, speculation soared about how the Valkyries would build their inaugural roster. Naturally, Caitlin Clark became a focal point in these discussions, celebrated for her exceptional scoring prowess, long-range three-point shooting, and strong leadership on the court. Caitlin has emerged as one of the brightest stars in women's basketball today. The potential addition of her talents to the Valkyries has generated tremendous buzz and anticipation among enthusiasts and analysts alike.
All right, there we go. We have our first 4 names of the reveal, and there they are. And just in case you didn't pick up on it, these names are being announced in alphabetical order from the teams of the W, so there's no ranking here in terms of who's most important. Your first thought?
In case you missed it, these selections are being announced in alphabetical order based on the teams, so there's no ranking in terms of importance. At first glance, you might assume Caitlin Clark would be among them, but when the draft results were revealed, an unexpected twist occurred. The Valkyries chose not to draft Caitlin Clark. This surprising decision left both fans and analysts stunned, igniting debates across social media platforms and sports broadcasts. The Golden State Valkyries' participation in the expansion draft marked a pivotal moment for the WNBA. It's a rare opportunity for a new team to build its roster from the ground up, and anticipation was high as fans watched to see their selections. While many anticipated bold moves, the decision to bypass Caitlin Clark, widely regarded as one of the league's brightest stars, created a wave of controversy and confusion within the basketball community.
As for the names on the back of the jerseys, we do have 4 more names that are about to be revealed in just a moment, but we do want to do a little table set of the Valkyries' notable games during what will be their inaugural season. They'll open the season in the Chase Center against the Sparks in a battle for Cali, some other marquee matchups as well. Defending champ Liberty May 27th, and they've got the Aces and Fever.
Her standout performance at Iowa made her a household name, and her seamless transition to the WNBA only heightened her impact. As a high-volume scorer and talented playmaker, she possesses the unique ability to draw crowds and secure victories. So, why did the Valkyries pass on drafting her when they had the opportunity? The reason stems from a combination of strategic planning, roster-building priorities, and the complexities of managing star talent within a newly established team. She is more than just a prolific scorer. She is a transformative player. Her knack for sinking three-pointers from seemingly unreachable distances and her exceptional court vision make her an invaluable asset. Additionally, she exemplifies leadership both on and off the court, frequently taking control during pivotal moments of the game. Any team would be fortunate to acquire her talents, or so it appears. However, constructing a new franchise goes beyond assembling star players. It involves ensuring the right fit, fostering chemistry, and implementing long-term strategies. This vision necessitated selecting players who could offer versatility and balance to their roster. Opting to draft a superstar like Caitlin Clark might have seemed like a straightforward way to make headlines, but it could have interfered with the delicate task of forming a unified and cohesive team structure. A prime example of the Valkyries' strategic selection is Temi Fagbenle. As an experienced center, Fagbenle brings defensive strength and leadership qualities that are crucial for any team seeking to establish its identity. However, her selection sparked surprise because it meant that Caitlin Clark remained with the Indiana Fever. Speculation among fans suggested that Fagbenle's departure from the Fever was closely linked to Clark's increasing influence within the team. Her on-court presence attracts media coverage, drives merchandise sales, and energizes fan communities. For the Indiana Fever, she serves as a cornerstone in their rebuilding efforts. Conversely, for the Valkyries, acquiring a player of her caliber might have introduced significant challenges. Effectively managing a star athlete requires substantial resources, both financially and in terms of team dynamics. Clark's playing style necessitates that the team's offense is centered around her. She thrives as a high-usage player who relies on having the ball in her hands. While this strategy can be effective for established teams with well-defined systems, it poses risks for a new franchise striving to find its balance. The Valkyries likely aim to prevent their entire identity from hinging on a single player, regardless of her talent. Instead, their focus was probably on assembling a more balanced roster, capable of evolving into a cohesive unit that can compete comprehensively without depending excessively on any one individual.
From the Atlanta Dream, the Golden State Valkyries select center Ileana Rupert.
Another layer to this decision is the Valkyries' emphasis on defense and versatility. Players like Fagbenle, Alana R., and Monique Billings offer flexibility across multiple positions, enabling the team to adjust to various matchups. While drafting Clark might have been tempting, it could have constrained their ability to build a well-rounded roster. Under the expansion draft rules, teams had the option to protect certain players. Unsurprisingly, the Fever chose to safeguard Caitlin Clark, effectively removing her from the Valkyries' selection pool. This move came at a price, leaving players like Fagbenle unprotected. For the Fever, this was a strategic gamble. They prioritized securing their star player, understanding that losing other valuable role players might be an unavoidable consequence. Protecting Clark underscores her significance to the Fever's future. She's not merely a player, but the cornerstone of their franchise. Losing her would have severely hampered their rebuilding efforts. Nevertheless, some fans believe that leaving Fagbenle unprotected was a misstep, as she is a dependable contributor who brings both experience and grit to the team. By passing on high-profile players like Caitlin Clark, they signaled their commitment to constructing a team based on depth, teamwork, and strategic foresight. This method may not create immediate headlines, but it lays the groundwork for long-term success. Naturally, not everyone concurs with this strategy. Critics argue that the Valkyries forfeited an opportunity to secure a generational talent. Caitlin Clark's ability to attract fans and elevate her teammates makes her a rare asset in the WNBA. Opting out of drafting her could be viewed as a risky move, especially for a new team aiming to establish itself in a competitive environment. However, there's a valid argument supporting the Valkyries' choice. Building a successful franchise requires time and meticulous planning. While star players like Caitlin Clark can transform a team, they also introduce complexities both on and off the court. For the Valkyries, the expansion draft was about more than just acquiring talent. It was about establishing a foundation for a team capable of competing at the highest levels. As the Valkyries gear up for their inaugural season, all eyes will be on their roster decisions. Will their strategic approach yield positive results, or will they rue the decision to pass on players like Caitlin Clark? The outcome may not be immediate, but one thing is clear: this decision will be closely examined. Understanding the Valkyries' choice to forgo Caitlin Clark requires looking at the broader context. How will this impact the future of the Valkyries and Caitlin Clark's role with the Indiana Fever? Launching a new franchise carries the inherent pressure to make a significant impact quickly. Acquiring a player like Caitlin Clark would undoubtedly generate headlines and draw fans to the arena. However, a franchise's success isn't solely determined by hype. It's about winning games and cultivating a sustainable culture. The Valkyries appear to have prioritized balance over star power. A key aspect of this decision revolves around Caitlin Clark's compatibility with a new system. Clark is renowned for her dynamic, high-energy playing style. She's a high-usage player who excels in systems designed to highlight her individual talents. However, for a nascent team like the Valkyries, selecting a player of Clark's magnitude could result in a lopsided roster. The team might feel compelled to build entirely around her, potentially compromising depth and versatility. Historically, teams that secure elite talent early on often set themselves up for sustained success. Clark's ability to draw double teams, stretch defenses, and control the game's tempo makes her a generational talent. By passing on her, the Valkyries are essentially betting on their ability to discover comparable talent in the future, a gamble that may or may not pay off.